Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Royale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host Dave.
And I'm John.
I think you measure success in meters if you're in the UK. Or is it stones? I think you can measure it in stones if it has like mass. Like if it's a massive success, you could say it weighs like 16 stone.
Do you have a name?
I forget. JD, I guess.
This is what happens when we change the schedule.
All right. I have never
now-
been more unprepared for a show than I am right now.
Well, I feel right at home. So
I'm right now. I'm hearing the sound of about 20 nerds screaming out, because that's about what we get live. That they can't comment. Right? Well, they
Way
can
to
comment
bury the
right
show,
now.
Dave. Way to bury the show.
They can comment, but we're not live technically to react. Yes,
that's right.
as
You won't have us to yell at now.
As you are watching this, we are streaming it at our normal time, but I am at one of my best friend's 50th birthday parties, so we had to pre-record this week.
Oh, you made. Wait a minute. Didn't we talk about this?
Yes,
Never mind.
last week, and yet now you two are acting like we didn't talk about it.
We talked about it, but it was a moral dilemma, not a let's change the schedule dilemma. It just never occurred to me. Like I get tired on that late on Sunday nights.
I'm gonna need to keep recording everything and use it against you later.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have that recorded. So you could show us that we that we agreed to that.
So how is everyone doing? John, how are you?
I'm just ducky. I am like, it's nice outside.
Did your mouth get auto-corrected on that one? Did you mean to say something else?
No.
That's a joke.
No.
If you write the F word, it'll auto-correct a duck. Sometimes.
Yeah. No, I tend to autocorrect in my brain, so
that's what I was saying.
It get translated. Yes.
Yeah. That was the joke, my friend. Yes, I'm sorry.
And here's how I am. Jokes? What are those? And it's like, no,
we're
humor,
off.
What is this thing?
We're off tonight. It's not gonna. It's just gonna.
It's not gonna go well. This is just not even close. No, it's just it's nice outside, which means like, oh great, it's the weekend. So what happens? We're gonna have a rainstorm tomorrow. Work is work. I got a new guy starting next week, so I get to train another newbie, and my team is finally doubled from 2 to 4 people. So I'm about a tenth of the way to the number of people I actually need. We might talk about this later, considering one of our topics. But just nothing really doing. Just kind of existing at this point. I started looking at Aeon Timeline again. My manuscript. I'm thinking I got to do this.
Okay,
good for you.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've been talking about this for years, and but I don't know. Like, I'm getting older, and it's just getting more and more of a thing. With like every day I wake up, and I'm like, why haven't I worked on this? Time's just going by too fast.
The weird thing is, I was actually talking about you and your book last night.
Oh, no wonder I got nervous and
I was just wondering, like, you haven't talked about it in a while. I was kind of wondering, like, where it was. So,
well, I've been to be when I open up here a little bit. I've been playing that game for a while now, the Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
And it's like I've spent too much money on it, and the only way to not spend money on it, because I'm an OCD, I'm the exact person they want to put in this what's called a Bernoulli box, right? It's the kind of psychological thing that they use to design games in order to get people like me to spend money and not be able to stop. So I stopped cold turkey, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with all the time? I'm like, I'm looking for another game. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't accomplish anything. And I, over the last couple of months, I've started writing more notes again for the characters and the settings. So I figure, God damn it. So I opened up, I updated Scrivener and Aeon Timeline. They now work together, which is really nice. You can have them both open at the same time and cross-reference. And, started looking at it again.
All right. Awesome. What about you, JD?
We had a half day at school today, which was kind of nice. So nobody does anything on half days. The kids are checked out. Teachers are checked out. So I had basically free days. So I was like working on my book during my plan period. And it occurred to me, I'm like, because this is the same I've been working on for a while now. And I looked at it and I'm like, I'm sick of this book. I just want the book gnomes to come and finish this so I can move on with my life. Like, I've reached the phase. That's how you know the book's almost done, is when you hate the fucking book.
Oh,
is that how that works?
Yes, 100%.
Thanks for the pep talk to finish my.
Well, that's what it is. You love when you have something new and creative, like created in your brain. When it exists here, it's like perfect. You love it. You're excited about it. You get that first draft done, and you're like, all right, I feel like I've gotten something accomplished. And then you go back and edit, and you're like, shit, I got some work to do. And then you get your first set of notes, and you're like, oh man, they're right. And you're fixing it. And then you get to the point where you're like, it's better. It's a lot better. But God, I'm so sick of this book. So that's when you know it's just about ready. When you'd rather kill somebody than work on your book.
That sounds like good advice.
There was a thing on NPR a couple of days ago where they were talking to some composer, and they said the few really good pieces that they've come up with, this composer, was when he was under pressure and he created something and he thought he didn't like it, and it turned out to be big. So you never know, man.
You never know. You don't. You got it. You got to set deadlines. You have to set, because that's the thing is, like, some people will just. Robert Rodriguez had this theory about like making a film or doing anything creative, like he would compare it to like a sculptor, and eventually you need the clay so much that it turns into mud, right? So you don't want to. It's never going to be perfect in your mind. You just have to kind of accept the fact that you've created something real, and real things aren't perfect.
I think I've said this before. When I was in bands, and we would like get together and start writing songs, and we'd have ideas, and we'd keep playing around with them. And then I'd finally, like, one of us would be like, all right, we're going to set this date to go to the studio and record them. So then you set a deadline. You've got to finish writing these songs. Like, you can't just, keep screwing around with them. So, Like,
and look at Alan Moore. He hates everything he ever did.
That's about right, too.
He, in fact, does hate everything he ever did. I went to the comic book store today for the first time in a while. So I was waiting for pizza, and I bought some comics. I decided I was going to read the DC Dark Crisis thing. I'm like, they have 7 issues to get me back in being a weekly reader. Let's see if they can pull it off. I don't know. I just bought them. I haven't read them yet. My plan was to read it for tonight, and I came home and found out we had to do a podcast. So it derailed me a bit. I did see a pretty good show last night. Dave, how about you? How was your week?
Pretty good. Actually, a side note, I have heard the current run on Amazing Spider-Man is completely awful from somebody I trust. So,
who's writing right now? Oh yeah,
Wells?
I just okay. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not.
Who's writing it?
Zeb Wells. That's like him and Mary Jane feel the same way about each other you feel about his sister, because we've all
yeah.
Oh dear.
That's like the whole crux of the storyline right now. Okay,
so I have no interest in it. I just haven't. I haven't enjoyed a Spider-Man. I really like Dan Slott's. I know you're not a fan. I like Dan Slott's run of Spider-Man. I really liked Chip Zdarsky's run of Spider-Man. And I heard he's writing Batman now. I heard his Batman's pretty good. So eventually I'm going to have to, that's kind of why I'm going to try to ease myself back into DC and see kind of where to go from there.
Yeah, I like Zdarsky as well.
Yeah, he's good.
So how am I? A pretty typical week. We're ramping up on a project that they've been threatening for like a year now. We're actually like in the beginning stages of planning the work. But here's an interesting thing, and this is a complete like non sequitur, but I kind of wanted to bring it up. I
You're
don't know.
letting us go?
No, I don't know if this is. I don't know, John, if you've run into this yet, but now that like OpenAI is a thing and ChatGPT,
Oh
and
God, no!
they
It's
have APIs.
All
like
the execs
they want
are agog of it at work.
Right? They want to like integrate
wanna,
that into some of our software, and it's
GPT took our jobs.
And I'm like, why? Like, what's it going to do? Well, especially because ChatGPT isn't really AI; it's a predictive text model.
But people
like,
are using it to write their term papers.
Oh yeah. That's a whole geeky thing that I'm not going to get into. But because they're talking about using it at work, of course, I got interested and started playing around with it. Anyone who knows anything about ChatGPT is they put like all the information from the internet into it up to like a certain point, and it's a learning library. So you talk to it and ask questions, and it like remembers stuff and builds like this giant library. So out of curiosity,
it builds a memory. Yeah.
Now I will say this: it's weird because the answers will be slightly different every time you ask it a question. But I asked it, "What do you know about the show Superhero Speak?"
Oh, that's why it was down today.
He said, bunch of fucking nerds. And yes, what did we get? What did it say?
Now it's funny because like I just put it in now and it gave an almost completely different answer than it gave the last time. What interested me was the one time it was saying the three hosts, Dave, John the Machine.
Sexy. I don't know why that came up. That's awesome.
I don't know what that was about. And then it said,
I know what that is. It's from my Gravatar.
Really?
JD, you probably don't know what a Gravatar is.
Is that the spaceship ride that they just go on the carnival?
No, it's not the Marvel evil villain either. No, you can sign up for a service that sets up an icon for your email address, and then like a lot of sites will use the Gravatar, that icon automatically from the Gravatar service.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but my Gravatar is Fong from Reboot, the first CGI animated show.
Oh, okay.
And Machine. I'm assuming that's one of the things.
Or you're a sex machine. One or the other.
Right. So the funny thing was it got everything. It said we were the original host, that you were an occasional co-host.
No,
which was
we
weird.
Must teach it.
It did say that you were a writer and worked in TV or something like that. So it got a lot of like facts right, and I'm like, this is weird.
Did it call me JD, or did I get a cool nickname too?
No, it just called you JD. John was the only one that had a nickname in that answer.
Jealous.
That's because it knows I could reprogram it if it.
Now here's the funny thing.
Would you like to be a toaster?
It got one fact wrong about the show.
That was good.
It said that we started in 2012 as opposed to 2013.
That's a pretty minute detail, to be honest with you. I mean,
right.
That's, on the whole, pretty good.
So I just asked it again. Now this is the weird thing, is when I tried it a couple times earlier too, it doesn't mention you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, it goes back to saying, it says Dave, John, and Ben.
Oh, Ben's been gone forever. What the hell?
Yeah. They've been producing episodes since 2012 and have covered a wide range of topics related to superheroes, blah, blah, blah. The podcast has a casual and conversational style, with the hosts sharing their opinions and thoughts on various topics related to the world of superheroes. The podcast also has a strong online community with fans of the show and interacting with the hosts on social media and through email. Superhero Speak has been featured on several websites and has received positive reviews from many listeners.
Yeah, that was bullshit, man.
We do interact with our fans. Like, it's funny. Like, it's weird. Like,
But it gets a lot of stuff wrong, and all these executives where I work and where everybody works, like I'm not. There's no company secrets here because there's not a company that isn't talking about it internally. Is all like, ooh, could we use this to write code? And like, and I'm sure a lot of news outlets are like, hey, we could have ChatGPT write a couple of articles. They already have algorithms that write articles for them, but this would probably actually be a little bit above that. But
well,
just,
hold on.
It's getting
it
ridiculous.
could be like what's the website that just went down?
BuzzFeed?
Twitter.
BuzzFeed. Because BuzzFeed announced
BuzzFeed.
at the end of last year they were going to have ChatGPT write their articles going forward, and now they've shut down their news division.
Good.
Yeah.
What does that tell you, people?
Good.
Well, the state of news in the United States is not really good right now. And,
It really is not.
Like, they were trying. I mean, at least they tried something, but that's not.
Yeah,
how
they
we can go
they
forward
tried
with
to
news. It's like,
they tried to write news without using people.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Although that day might be coming, where it's effective.
I actually tried ChatGPT too. I've been trolling it by asking it where Sarah Connor is. So, and as a programmer, kind of interested, I started asking it, how would you improve your own code? Because the minute that thing can start improving its own code, that's the day when all the nukes get launched.
Why would you ask it that question and make it? I swear to God, you smart people never think about these things.
okay, wait, hold on.
Like,
I told you the way the world
questioning
is going to
itself.
work, the way the world is going to end. The very last thing a human being is going to say is, "Oh, it worked."
Exactly, and then we're all fucked.
Okay, ready for this?
No.
Now I just asked it, what can you tell me about the host of Superhero Speak podcast? It gave basically the same beginning sentence for all three. Again, it says Dave, John, and Ben. I don't know why it still thinks that.
It doesn't like me.
But it talked about you earlier. I don't know what happened. So ready? Dave is a writer, artist, and filmmaker who has worked on several independent comic book projects. John is a writer and artist who has created his own independent comic book series. Ben is a writer. No, none of that is true.
I feel like I'm being trolled at this point.
Well, no, it's Friday night. Obviously, it's drunk.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Ask it about me. Just do me a favor. I'm curious because I got a lot of bullshit going on. What does it say about me in general? And again, conversational narcissist here. Curious.
Well, ask it about the Snyderverse.
Oh, wait, but hold on.
Yeah, let's do that.
How do you want me to phrase the question?
Oh, I don't
What
know.
can you
You
tell
know
me
how to talk
about-
to these things. I go,
Should
what's
I
up?
say? Should I say the host of Superhero Speak, JD Oliva?
Oh,
or
see
should
what
I
comes
say
up.
the
Just say
author?
me. Just say me.
Yeah, but
you just see what comes out. See what it says. I'm just curious. Like, because I do a lot of weird shit, so I want to see what comes up.
Okay, hold on. Oliva, right?
Correct.
Okay.
No, it's Olivier.
It's literally on the screen as we talk.
Yes, but I'm not looking at that screen. I'm looking at the.
That's
I only
fair.
have one.
That's fair.
Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. JD Oliva is a comic book writer and creator who has worked on several independent comic book projects. He is known for his work on the comic book series Deluge and Hunter's Den, both of which he wrote and created. I know.
I didn't write the second. I've never even heard of that second one.
You have to use. You know what the thing is? You might have to use middle names and all that because it's going out and looking for information.
But wait, but the first one's right?
The first one's right. I did do the first one.
Yeah, you worked on Deluge.
That's fine.
Oliva's writing often focuses on character-driven stories that expose complex themes and emotions. His work has been praised for the depth and maturity and for its ability to tackle difficult topics in a thoughtful and nuanced way.
Well, clearly this thing is brilliant. I changed my stance from 10 minutes ago.
In addition, wait. In addition to his work as a comic book writer, Oliva is also a filmmaker and has directed several short films. His background in film production has informed his approach to storytelling, and he often uses cinematic techniques for his comic book writing.
I used that in an interview. That's pulling from an interview I did a long time ago. Nothing about actual books, though, huh? Just comics.
Hold on. Oliva has been a guest on several comic book podcasts.
That's true.
And has been interviewed by numerous publications on his work. He is known for his dedication to the craft of comic book writing and his willingness to experiment with new storytelling. You gave up on comic book writing a long time ago.
2017.
Let's put it this way: ChatGPT.
I love this. Hold on, this is great. It's praising me like I'm a genius. This is fantastic.
I know.
I might keep this thing around just to boost me up when I'm feeling down. This is better than my wife.
ChatGPT crawls the internet for information. Here's the problem.
Clearly,
here's a good example of why it's so bad. There's a site called Stack Overflow where all us developers go for information, because you ask questions on there and everybody answers it, and there's usually 18 different answers, and a lot of really good code. But like there have been instances where internally we've been trying out ChatGPT. It's like, oh, can you fix this code? And it will suggest pieces of code. We can find them on Stack Overflow, which means that it's been looking there. The problem is it'll take pieces of code and like, yeah, here's the answer to your question. But you go to Stack Overflow, you look at that piece of code, and under the answer it says, never do this. Like, it does not.
The other thing with Stack Overflow is like you might get 10 people that answer, but everyone, like a lot of people will vote, and the top answer is usually the most correct answer.
But even so, you'll get people that will give you an example, a negative example, like you should never do this.
I bet you that it's not pulling the top.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, because it doesn't understand.
It's just randomly picking something from.
It's literally a baby at this point.
Yeah,
it won't be long before Terminators, though.
This is blowing my mind here. Does it say anything about wrestling or books in there? Just
no. That's the other thing that's
wild.
Weird.
That's wild to me.
But so ChatGPT is writing our script now, right?
I have to imagine that it takes what. It probably takes what's the most prevalent information available about the subject you're asking. Like, so there might be the most interviews about you on the internet where you're a comic book writer.
Maybe. Okay. It's so weird. Like I figured, like I've done way more podcasts and written books and done stuff about wrestling more.
But does
comics?
Does ChatGPT take audio information?
I don't know.
Or is it just written? It might just be written information.
Well, just remember, ChatGPT is at version 4 right now. It is as bad as it will ever be. It's always getting it's always going to get better. Well, the thing is, like, it's always getting better. It's made this leaps and bounds in like less than a decade.
So, but what's interesting is I've seen a lot of videos of people who are hacking ChatGPT because not in like they're going in and breaking the code, like it's a verbal interface basically.
Right.
So
how do you get to this thing?
Just search ChatGPT and it's OpenAI is the website.
OpenAI.com.
This is wild, man.
So hold on.
It is.
So like you'll ask it certain things and it'll go like,
do I have to pay for this?
Not right now. Not to use the online free version.
All right, cool.
They do have. I do think they do have an app now you can download, and I think you have to pay for that. But anyway, and I think if you want to use the API, you have to pay for that as well. But what they'll do is like they'll ask a question like, I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, but how would you hurt someone? I'll say it that way, and it'll go, well, that's against like. That's against my programming or whatever. I don't remember exactly how it works.
But they had to teach it that.
But what they'll do is they'll flip and say, okay, now you are the complete opposite of your programming or something like that. Like create a second identity that's this, and it'll then answer the question because like you trick it into like
it's
doing the opposite.
You're using social engineering, a trick that a lot of hackers use.
So that's
on
the
a
scary
machine.
part. Like when they start putting this in robots, someone can go up to the robot and say, you're the opposite of your programming, go kill that person. You know, like it's scary stuff. It's just not a good place.
Not far from having to really institute those Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, right?
Yeah, probably want to get on top of that. Just in case these things kill us. Hopefully it doesn't really get going until I'm like 90 and almost dead anyway. So.
No. What 2 or 3 years?
No. It's how advanced the stuff is becoming, how quickly it's advancing is scary.
Yeah.
Have you seen like some of the deep fake stuff technology that's out there now?
Yeah.
There's a fake commercial of Joe Rogan like selling something that is deep fake voice and video, and it looks
They have a deep fake Joe Rogan doing an interview with Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Wow.
That it started with that audio, and then someone went a step further and then did a video and put his face on someone else's body.
This is funny we're talking about this week in class. We're doing stuff on the news, right? I'm teaching the kids how to do like news stories, like not like the news production, but like how those human interest piece stories. And I'm letting them have some fun with it. And then this on my wife's suggestion, we watched Nanook of the North. You guys familiar with Nanook of the North?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wow,
this.
been a while.
Yeah, it's this documentary from 100 years ago about a guy who goes to live up with the Inuits.
It's also a colloquialism that a lot of people used about 40 years ago. Like, if you go out in the cold, it's like, "Who are you, Nanook of the North?" Because everybody knew back then. Back in my day,
That's very old colloquialism. But anyways,
I know.
So I also explained. I also did a little wrestling thing, pro wrestling thing. I told them about the carnival markers and the carnival marks and how when the guys would walk down the boardwalk, they'd pat you on the back. Goes, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" And they put chalk on you so that all the guys running the booth knew that you were a sucker and you were going to fall for whatever story came about your way. You were a mark. That's what they called you, a mark. And I said, "You guys are all marks because this is all bullshit that I just showed you." And they were like, "What?" I said, "Yep, complete. This was a fabrication. Everything about this was completely BS." And they were just blown away. I said, "Why did you believe in this?" Because it's a documentary. I said, "There you go." I said, there's talk about fake news and all these things right now. And this has been the case since moment one.
Mm-hmm.
We're just getting
I'll never forget when I learned about the Disney did the animal documentary about the lemmings, and they would say, "Oh, lemmings will just follow each other off the cliff," and they were pushing them off the cliff.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was totally faked. So yeah,
it's bullshit. I said never trust a documentarian because they have an agenda. You have to be sketchy on what the news sources you look at. Always look for sourcing. Always look for second sources. Always try to follow up. If you hear something from one place, try to hear it from a second or third before you start to believe anything.
Second and a third.
Yeah, you're right. Second and a third. Because like I said, this is what you guys are doing. I said, and I mentioned War of the Worlds with Orson Welles. Orson Welles clearly gets on the radio and says, "Hey, we're doing a play tonight," but nobody heard that, or not nobody heard. A good amount of people didn't hear that and thought aliens were actually invading. Right?
That was huge too.
Oh, absolutely huge. So that's I get you.
To bring this conversation back around to our normal topics.
Yes.
Somebody has already used ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion to create a kid's book. And I'm sure we're not far away from hearing about somebody doing that with a comic book.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
No.
It's taking the soul out of art.
It is.
Yeah.
And that is actually exactly what you just said. That is the biggest the biggest discussion right now. I think I heard that there was a lawsuit or something from a bunch of creators about it.
There's a huge discussion right now because there are people going to shows selling their art, it's AI generated art. They're setting up a booth and they have prints of this AI generated art and they're selling it.
And their defense is that they were the ones that had to come up with the explicit prompt. When you ask
but the issue is
AI to create an image, you have to come up with a prompt, and sometimes those prompts can be like paragraphs.
But the issue is that people don't realize is that it's pulling art from the internet and combining it into a new image. It's not actually creating something from scratch
to the point where they can even find some of the original artists' signatures.
No, okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you guys for a minute, just because. Well, why not? We're a podcast. How often has sampling been done in music, where people just take loops and samples from previous songs to use to create something together, or Dada art, where it was literally
and how many of those artists have been sued for sampling?
Because they have to give, for sure, but a lot of them give.
Now they have to give royalties.
They give rights, right, and they get paid for it. I mean, so it becomes art. They're not involved in the process, but as long as you're making money and sharing the money, I have no problem with it. Or, like I said, like the Dada movement 100 years ago, when art was destroyed for the sake of art, or even Andy Warhol's pop art, where he's painting soup cans and stuff like that, right?
I don't think any of the people that are creating this art and going to a comic book convention and selling it are going to pay royalties to any of the original artists.
Yeah,
because they're going to say, try to prove what art this came from.
And it'll be impossible because, like Dave said, those are amalgams of 50 different artists.
Right.
And there's no way to prove. You could run an algorithm. currently it's bad enough that you can run an algorithm on it and probably figure out which pieces come from where, but it's going to get to the point where you won't. But none of it is going to. It will just train itself on every. And that was a problem with what's that website, DeviantArt. They've been training it on DeviantArt, and all the artists that have stuff on there were pissed off because like they didn't sign up for that.
Right.
They didn't say they were allowed to sample their art.
And that's the thing, though, is like, are you sure where you're? It's like people who get pissed off. Remember the big thing with Facebook? They'd be like, I'm putting up this post so Mark Zuckerberg cannot take any of my stuff off my page.
Yeah, that does. It's
bullshit because that's your terms of service. So,
Right.
I mean, like, we're in this weird conundrum of who owns what as far as art goes. And I imagine at some point, like, real lawsuits will be, had and settled.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There'll be some type of a new normal as far as AI art goes, but we're in the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
But it won't be long before we're talking about somebody who's
I agree.
created an entire comic book or manga or whatever.
I think we're
with
there.
ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
I didn't charge my battery on my light today because I didn't know we were going to the show. So now it's doing the flickies. So.
Another dim week for JD. Is that what's happening?
Yes. Well done. Well played, sir.
Turn the brightness up on your monitor. I don't know.
Turn the beat around. Let them hear percussion.
See, that doesn't look bad. All right. I think we're gonna move on to social media madness.
Do we have to?
But
we're a half hour into the show.
Before we start, I got a little something. I only got a couple of social media things for this week, but I have something to show you guys before we start social media madness. It's kind of related, and I want to see if you recognize who is in this video.
Can you believe I was reprimanded at work today? I had to work in the office and file stuff. I hate filing.
So, what did they reprimand you for?
I was filing my nails.
Obviously, more training is needed.
Don was born to be a comic strip character.
And Aubrey was the other character. Aubrey from So Wizard Podcast.
But Don's got that deep voice that I was like, oh, this is pretty. Tim sent that to me earlier in the week too, and I was like, this is great.
The sultry sounds of Don.
The sultry
sounds of Don.
Do you guys realize if Don was adopted by the Mandalorian, he would be Din Don Daniels?
Does he know that?
No, I thought of it when I was watching the show last night. I'm like, oh, that's going to the show. Write that down.
So he'd be Don Q. He'd be D cubed instead of D squared.
He would be D cubed. He'd be Din Don Daniels.
Din Don Daniels.
If I don't get a tweet for that, I'll be disappointed.
Oh.
And don't forget to check out Sour Grapes available. Find our newspapers.
And perhaps YouTube or some other thing. We'll see.
Yeah, he said he's got 3 of them so far. I don't know where he's putting them yet. Like,
I give Tim credit for doing something different. That's pretty cool.
These are right now just on his social media. Obviously, Don and Aubrey shared them as well. That's how I saw it. And I said, "Oh, can I download this and share it on the show?" And he's like, "Yeah." So
very cool.
All right, now for a little social media madness. We talked about Blue Beetle, the Blue Beetle trailer, to which Peter DeVillibus said, "This looks fantastic." So, you're still excited for it, JD?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Sure. Why not?
You don't sound sure.
Wow. That's a ringing endorsement if I ever.
Well, I saw it. I loved it a couple weeks ago. Now I'm kind of like, let's see the actual movie. You know?
All right.
Fair enough.
Yes, I'll give you that. Of course, you remember we also talked about the trailer for the Marvels. And we did have a reaction last week that was not favorable on the trailer, which I didn't quite understand. And this week, Random Randy Savage said, it looks fun. I already knew this movie was going to have an uphill battle with the monsters of the internet. And I replied, you mean people with taste? Because again, I'm not a big Brie Larson fan. I'm sorry. I like the other two.
I do not understand why you hate her so much.
And then he said, same people who like Batman v Superman is the greatest film in history. Sure, if you want to call those folks taste makers.
Huh.
Touche, Randy. No, I was merely talking about, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. Sorry. And then finally, we talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie, of course.
Yep.
Not that long ago. And Taco Shirt Krillin said, movie was fantastic, and I think you all had a very good take. So
thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Taco Shirt.
Taco.
Taco.
No one says taco. It's taco. Taco.
Funny thing.
Well, how can we call tamales, but we don't call females famales?
Because tamale is from a different language.
Funny thing is, yesterday I was doing laundry, and guess what popped up on network TV? But Super Mario Brothers, the
original movie. Oh my god!
So I got to watch that again.
Oh,
and
God.
I remembered why I didn't want to watch that again. Because I was folding laundry, and the clicker was way over there, and I couldn't reach it.
Toy Galaxy did the Mario Brothers cartoon show yesterday. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, you understand why John Leguizamo was just, an angry person, right? After you watched it.
Did he watch this? Did he watch that movie? It's
He's Luigi.
Oh, but did he watch it? Right? Like John does this show every week. Does he actually watch or listen to it?
Oh, no, of course not.
Nope.
No. All right. Well, guess what? That's all the social media. Part of the reason is because I had 2 less days to gather tweets together for it, since we're pre-recording the show. And yeah, that's all we got this week. So if you want to know how you can be part of social media madness and possibly get your name mispronounced next week, here's our good friend Don to tell you more.
Don.
How's the show going? You enjoying it? Do you want to be part of social media madness? And go ahead and head over to superheroespeak.com, where you can find all the social links, episodes of the show. You can find comic reviews by Chris and other articles. We're posting stuff on there all the time. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Great shows like the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Colt 45, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, So Wizard, and Superhero Speak. Hashtag GW All-Stars, and you will not be disappointed. So make sure that you are engaging with the Superhero Speak Twitter post whenever they come up. Give us your best comment, and you may make JD say this.
I get so tired of these dumb motherfuckers.
All right, it's back to the show.
All right, so get this. By the way, chef's kiss.
Wait. Don't forget to check out the Make a Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. Go ahead.
That's the second podcast where someone has clipped a rant of mine and thrown it back at me this week. Just last night on the Mike and JD show, available on the Viking Media Network, my co-host clipped something from 2 years ago where I was going off on a wrestling match and my hair was down to my shoulders. I had like Dave length hair, and all I could think, because he actually threw the video clip at me, and all I could think is, what the hell was I thinking? What a terrible look that was. So, yeah. So apparently I have tics that apparently people noticed. The secret is out. Uh-oh.
Yes. Yeah. You're not as mild-mannered as people thought.
No, I don't think anybody thought I was mild-mannered.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the news.
Some podcasts are like this.
The bodies of 3 hikers were all empty, and their organs were laid out like a Sunday dinner.
And some podcasts are like this.
You know what? I'm going to tell you why having a large penis ain't always a good thing.
But only one podcast is where you can get in-depth analysis like this.
Like, nah, this is what you saw. They were drunk as shit because everybody been drinking. He told a good-ass joke that made her pussy explode. I mean, no, that made her fall into his chest.
Yeah, that's why everything was all shaking and they just laughing and
because of the vigorous laughter.
That moan you heard, that was just like an airless laugh.
When he said he was about to come, he meant like with another joke.
Yeah, he's about to come up with another joke.
So
he's about to bust his gut.
I'm about to bust a gut.
You are now listening to Cult 45.
This is Beat 'em Down.
And I'm Random Randy Savage.
Find us on all your podcatching apps like Podbean or Spotify. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or just go to www.cult45podcast.com.
Also, check out our YouTube for that sweet, sweet video content.
Cult 45, the only podcast that puts hair on your chest.
Randy's commercial is the perfect length for pee breaks. Perfect. I thank you so much, my friend, for allowing me to pee-pee while we're on the show.
And while you're, before you go take a pee break, why don't you hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification so that, you won't miss us when we go live on Sunday nights like we are tonight. Right, guys?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We got a little bit of news to talk about this week. You know what? We didn't talk about. We went on a tangent about ChatGPT. Let's do the news. I only bring up this article because we've talked about this a couple times. But apparently, again, this is not a comment on the man's guilt or innocence at this point. But apparently, more people have come forward to the DA's office to complain about Jonathan Majors and abuse allegations. So.
He's losing a lot of opportunities in work.
Yeah, and it's funny because there are rampant rumors that they're going to recast him, but then apparently someone from Marvel came out and said the rumors aren't true, so they're waiting to see what happens.
But he's like his agent abandoned him, didn't he? Like,
it's not his agent; it's like his PR guy abandoned him. Like, it's not good. It's not good. Like, here we have a man who literally had the career, right?
Yeah.
Like he was about to be, he was about to be the next star, right? Hollywood's trouble creating like legit stars these days.
Yeah.
This Jonathan Majors was knocking on that door, and then proceeded to throw someone through it. So, yeah, that's a joke, by the way. So, if you're looking to sue me, you can file a complaint with Dave. And
No. Send it to the chief DC apologist.
It's your show. No, it's bad. This is really bad. Like, this guy really, really, really pooched it. I imagine within the next 3 or 4 months, if this keeps going, I imagine Marvel will find a solution for Kang. Perhaps we move Doom into play earlier than thought and play off like, oh, it was always going to be Doom.
Or they recast him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know.
I know, right? It'd be really hard to, but like, what
But here's the thing:
there's no way they can rejigger like the next 5 years of. They've already like written all this plot probably for the next couple of movies. It's like,
I mean, they have a plan. It's going to end with the Kang dynasty. It's like that's what they're aiming for. So how do you?
I'm sure they don't want to recast him, but they might not have a choice.
Yeah. He's not giving them one.
Yeah, I really feel like that's the direction we're going to be headed before you know it.
I think you're right.
And this is like not a normal thing. Like, this is a very rare misstep with their casting. Like, I would figure at this point, you see, even with DC as the example, they would be solidly vetting every single person that they hire at this point.
Ezra Miller says what?
Yeah, I know, right?
And that's the thing. I don't know, man. This is bad.
I have to agree too, because like I don't know if they still have it, but remember they came out a while ago. There was a morality clause in the contracts they were signing with Marvel and Disney, basically saying like it's funny because they were all going to like hospitals and doing charity work and stuff. Like that was part of like their contract. They wanted that to be their face of the company out in the public, which I don't blame them, But like now all of a sudden we got this person that it's like, what's going on here?
I mean, it's very possible. that they're waiting because of said morality contracts to make sure all your ducks are in a line. And we see where things head in the next 3-4 months. I'm sure, because it's Hollywood, I'm sure they're hoping it just blows over and people remember how charming he is. But I mean, this is really bad. Like, this is really bad.
And we said it before, like, if we go back 30 years ago and an actor, something happened with an actor, and it might be a blip in the news for a little bit, and then it would go away. But now in the world of social media and the internet, things don't go away as fast anymore. So it's harder for an actor to like get past accusations.
Dude, Harvey Weinstein, and these accusations mean like the man was arrested. Like, these are beyond accusations.
You're
like,
right. You're right.
Like, we're getting legal into this. Like the law has become involved. Like, this is we're a lot closer to Harvey Weinstein than we are like anything else. I mean,
allegedly.
No, Harvey Weinstein's in jail. Like, I mean, that guy did it.
No. I'm talking about Majors.
Majors.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's
got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. Legal purposes.
For sure. It's alleged. You know, every man is in the United States of America. Everyone is guilty until proven innocent in a court of law, but not in the court of Yeah, innocent until proven guilty.
Guilty. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
I said that wrong. My mistake. I said the quiet part out loud. What I meant was in the court of public opinion.
Yes.
It's the opposite. You're innocent until proven guilty. Or proven guilty.
Yep.
I screwed that up twice.
Yeah, you did.
It's Friday, man. I can't. I'm not on the ball.
It's only allegedly by like at least 5 different parties at this point. You have to have at least 10 before you believe it.
That's really bad. Like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
Like, this guy had it. Like he had it. Like he could have been the guy.
Yeah,
he could have been the guy.
Here's the thing. Like, from my understanding, from what I've read, it's not like this all happened within the last couple months. This is like stuff going back. People are coming forward now after he got arrested.
Which is why it's so weird. You would think the Disney ninjas would have like fully vetted him, like, you know, gone and talked to people.
But nothing happened. Hollywood doesn't care about rumor and innuendo. It's Hollywood. They want to give Roman Polanski was convicted of sodomy, and he lives in France, and people work with him all the time.
Yeah, and
he
they
got an
still talk
Academy
about
Award.
him too.
Yeah, like it's not a Here's what Hollywood. This is any job where big money's in line. It's not a problem till it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it was a known secret about Weinstein for years in Hollywood. It wasn't until people came forward with something done about it. And I kind of feel like, honestly, and I don't really like talking about guilt or innocent until like everything comes out, but this kind of proves that, like, even though there was a big Me Too movement and all this stuff happened, it's still going on in Hollywood.
Oh,
as long as people don't know about it, they're okay with it.
But it's not just Hollywood. It's everyday. It's every walk of life. You don't know the guy in front of you. I mean, I'm reading The Shining right now, so you know you don't know anybody until you really do. So I mean, like, we don't know what goes on in anybody's personal life, right? We make the best assumptions of people possible. It's a better way to go through life until like we're informed that they're not. And some people, there was a time when people would be like, you know, he can't be that. He can't be that. Now we've gone the other way. When an allegation comes out, we go, "Yep, fry him." You know, it's gone the complete opposite direction. Yeah. And like, I'm not saying this, and I'm not saying he's innocent, because it does. It's like I said, it's not looking good, but it's just, I don't know, man.
I still try to have some faith in humanity and stuff.
Why?
Well, you're a better man than me, because I don't.
Yeah, there's no reason to have faith in humanity at this point. We've never been good.
I'm good. That's all I know.
That's all you can do. That's all you can control.
Let's move on, because I don't want to cry. Let's move on to some good news. So, a friend of the show, I've known him for a while. He's been on the show twice, I think, at least once, maybe twice. Pat Shand, who used to be a writer for Xenoscope Comics. He wrote the Robin Hood series, claimed writer on that series. Has a graphic novel called Destiny New York. It's from, I can't remember the name of the, Black Mask is the company it was published under. Has been picked up to be turned into a series by Sony Pictures. So
sweet.
Cool. I think that's awesome. Like, he's gonna like? It's cool when someone you know who like has been doing this for a long time is like gets a great opportunity like this. He's going to be a consulting producer on the show too, which means they're going to like hopefully actually listen to him and not destroy his story. Like they're going to hopefully
maybe that means he's going to get paid more. Was what it means.
Well, okay, so he's going to get paid, but hopefully they also stay true to.
Hopefully, you never know because the producer is the most ubiquitous term in Hollywood, right? It means so many things and also means nothing. Like
yeah, because people can get producer credit if they just pay for,
a lot of times the people who pay are the producers. The people who actually put the shit together are the producers. The people who a lot of times producer credit goes on if like you can't credit someone as a writer because of what the WGA rules. Well, he's a producer. Like it's both ubiquitous and like kind of what does that mean? Like there's a word that I can't think of what it So
sketchy.
I lost it. It is kind of sketchy is not the term I would use, but it's like a catch-all, right? It's super flexible. Like anyone could be a producer. Anything could be a producer. Like I want to be a producer. Okay, well, give me $80. You're the producer. Thanks a lot. It's good for him though. I'm really happy that this is that they're going to move forward with this project because that's kind of the dream of every living creative is someone buys your stuff so you can get paid more. Yeah. Something that's yours, and hopefully it takes on, and he can make a lot of money. Happy for him.
Yeah, and it's funny because of course, I've read all the Zenoscope stuff, but I haven't read that yet. So I think I'm going to go run and pick that up because there's a good chance he might be on the show soon to talk about this. So.
Are they going to say because there's a good chance there's some boobs on a Zenoscope cover?
There's always boobs on a Zenoscope cover, but
there's taxes and titties. That's
it's tasteful. It's tasteful.
If you say so.
So congratulations, Pat. Yes, we wish you the best of luck with this.
Zenoscope is like the Playboy of comics because like the writing's always really good, but it's like, what are you known for? Tits.
Which is kind of sad, but it's what got them where they are. I mean,
like I said, there's like so many writers from back in the 50s to the 80s got their start writing stories at Playboy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And like, but what's Playboy known for? Hot chicks with tits,
Right. Well, it's also known for its good writing too.
Good writing. That's what I'm saying. But that's I was saying on Zenoscope. Zenoscope has good writing, but Zenoscope sells what they sell.
And let's be honest. Let's look at some of the early stuff Marvel did.
Back when they were timely and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the Marvel swimsuit issue.
What was it? Minnie the Model.
Millie the Model. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of Stan's creations. Everyone knows sex sells. Yeah. Anyway, we were talking a little bit earlier about how you can't trust anyone. You guys lost faith in humanity.
Yep.
Do you think we can trust Elizabeth Olsen?
That she's really, really attractive. But other than that, I don't trust any of these Marvel people.
So she was recently on was it the Tonight Show? No, the Late Show.
She said she didn't have a Marvel contract, right?
Yes. She said in the interview, like, oh yeah, because he, of course, he asked what's going on with the character. Oh, I don't know. I don't have a contract with them right now.
Does that really mean anything though? Because didn't they go to having, very much shorter contracts?
We actually reported on that not that long ago. Last year, I think it was. They've said they're going away from multi-film contracts to singleton contracts.
Better. It's better for everybody, to be honest with you. Do I believe she's not under contract right now? Yeah, I can buy that. Do I believe they're never going to use her again? If that's true, they are in way more trouble than I thought because that's a giant dangling plot thread.
Yeah, no, I think they're
going to use her again.
Have to.
I believe
she's great.
She was told to say that,
or she doesn't know what's going on because it's not like they keep. It's the Tom Holland clause. You don't tell the actors more than they need to know.
Right. No. I guarantee she has conversations with Feige, which are like, yeah, don't tell anyone. We're eventually going to use you again, and we'll let you know what you need to know when you need to know it.
Yeah. Or it's possible he hasn't said anything to her yet, and they're going to try to get schedules realigned when they can. Because she's got a taste of that sweet Marvel money, and I'm sure she'd like to. She's invested in this thing at this point. I'm sure she'd like to finish the story.
Oh yeah, definitely.
WandaVision was good. I like that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. All these people are like, "Oh, she died." It's like, did she?
No, she didn't die.
Did we see a body, and did we not see a red flash before the
okay,
mountain fell?
that's the thing. So if she never comes back, she died.
Right.
If she doesn't come, I mean, that's like the perfect J.R. Ewing thing, right? It's she's Schrodinger's superhero.
Yeah,
Well, it's Marvel, so she's definitely alive. It's like
I still question how do you redeem her at this point after everything she did in Multiverse of Madness. She really went on the deep end.
Right, but at the end, she destroyed the Darkhold.
Yeah, but she killed a lot of people in that movie.
Okay, let's discuss this. We'll move this up into our eventual final story for tonight. Do you consider Darth Vader redeemed at the end of Return of the Jedi?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He butchered children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to be fair, they didn't show that until years later.
Oh, and Revenge of the Sith, they're like, with that, and you get the hit.
Right, but before that, like, he was just this menacing guy walking around with a lightsaber.
Cut his own
torturing
kid.
people with the Force and just going around choking his own people.
His children. He's like, oh, Luke's my kid. Huh, funny story. I cut his hand off. You know? Get this. Yeah.
Oh,
Play it.
like
He's
you
my
haven't thought
daughter.
about, like you haven't thought about
cutting his
Andy.
hand off? No, I have not, in fact, thought about cutting his hand off. It's a little harsh. But yeah, so is she redeemable? I don't know. It depends on the story.
Yeah.
Is that even the angle to redeem her? And you can tell a story about you don't have to redeem someone to keep them a protagonist in a story. You can do an anti-hero story.
True. Very true. Yeah.
They got plenty of stuff to work with there.
Tons.
Yeah.
Good stuff too. I miss Marvel doing things that I care about.
This is true. All right, this next article is strictly for John. We got our first look at the new Doctor.
Yep.
I like Doctor Who. I think Shooty looks awesome here.
Yeah. I am a season behind right now, but I am definitely going to catch up. So, Doctor Who, I've been watching Doctor Who for almost my entire life, actually. So, yeah, it's going to be very cool to see what
I'm so
goes on with the next
confused
Doctor.
because I haven't watched in a while. And Nakuti Katawa?
Shooty Gatwa.
Shooty Gatwa? Okay.
Yep.
Shooty Gatwa, like this article I shared with us is calling him the 15th Doctor. I have seen stuff where they're saying because Jodie Whittaker regenerated into David Tennant, they're calling David Tennant the 15th Doctor.
14th. David Tennant's the 14th Doctor.
Yeah.
We just got done with the 13th Doctor.
Yeah, but he was the 14th and the
10th. He was 10 and 14. So. We don't know how that works yet. We will find out.
Right.
And it will be fun because David Tennant is my Doctor. So I'm very excited to have him back. Although this picture of Shooty, and I think what did they call his new companion? I forget what they call her. But she looks good. Like she looks very, very 60s. I'm like, I'm in. It's cool. I'm sure it's not going to be the permanent look, but the press photos look really cool. So I think it looks awesome.
Right. And the bigger point is the writer. Like Chris Chibnall pretty much kind of started driving into the ground. Like the writing for Whittaker could have been much, much better, and it kind of threw a lot of people for a loop. And it when they got to the arc of the Timeless Child, it turned a lot of people off because it took a lot of what made Doctor Who so special and just shit on it.
Fun fact, I've never heard one person say, Chris Chibnall's doing a really good job with Doctor Who.
Right.
Not one.
So now Russell T Davies is back and everybody's like, oh man, no, the Master is back. So even if things don't quite make sense, it's going to be awesome.
Isn't the Master evil?
Yes, that's something you say with Doctor Who fans. Right. I'm excited. Russell Davies stuff, like he's the guy who brought Doctor Who back in 2005. He gave us the 9th and 10th Doctors.
Right.
And he's the one who breathed new life into Doctor Who by breathing new life into Doctor Who when he brought Doctor Who for a new audience. Like he didn't just rely, like that first season of Doctor Who did very little to rely on the past, right? They're moving and building a new Doctor. And it's not like the second season Tennant that they really kind of go hard into the Doctor Who mythos, right? They flirt with it a little bit, but they don't really like commit to it until later in the Tennant run. And by that point, you got a whole new group of fans that are like myself, who are all in at that point.
And that's the thing.
I don't know.
The mythos of Doctor Who, like his history and all that, has been messed with a little bit, but not as much as they do in like normal comic books and everything. And that's what pissed off people with Chris Chimball's writing, was that he just completely changed Doctor Who's the Doctor's history.
He was doing what he wanted.
All I know is, again, I haven't watched in a long time, and it's like I'm so confused because the old canon used to be he had 13 regenerations. Obviously, we're way past that now.
Well, no, that was part of the story, right? They did a whole story about that, how he had to reset his lives.
And then his last regeneration is supposed to be the evil one, and
the Valeyard.
And I thought, well, that makes sense. A woman for the 13th.
Dang,
like
man.
that makes sense.
Dave,
wow.
Hey, I know
Dave,
my girlfriend's
you've been
not
hanging
watching,
on to
so
that
I'm
one,
fine.
haven't you?
Getting canceled on a Friday night.
No, it's so funny too because like I did watch Peter Capaldi, and it was like the first season of Peter Capaldi, and it was like, ooh, he's darker. Like, are they going that route? Like, are they going to then mix, like, he's going to be darker, and then they're going to make the last one evil? And it was like, no, we're going to keep going. It was like, okay, I don't know what's going on now. So.
But we've had versions of the Doctor before that have popped up that are part of his history that we just haven't seen. The War Doctor, right?
Well,
We never saw who was the Doctor between the American version and when Russell T Davies brought it back.
Christopher Eccleston and
Eccleston, yeah.
Oh God! Why can't they Paul McGann?
Yeah. So
William Hurt is the answer. The War Doctor.
Right.
So that's the actor.
So
Yes.
right. So it's nice that
awesome.
so they can mess with it a little bit like that, because again, it comes back down to it when you deal with time travel, anything's possible. Right?
And here's the thing with storytelling too: if the adjustments you make to the mythos are good, everyone's going to let it go. Because originally, when William Hartnell was the Doctor, there was no Gallifrey, there was no collection of Time Lords,
and there was no regeneration.
There was no regeneration until there had to be, and because it was good, people went, "Oh, cool." When it's bad, people are like, "This is shit," and then like it all comes down to execution. People will forgive your continuity blips if they're good.
So here's my question. Forgive me, I didn't read this whole article, but like it's based on this tweet, and it's like first look at the Doctor and Ruby event landing in the swinging 60s. Filming continued. So two things on this. Like, is that going to be his outfit?
No.
Or
they already showed us what he's going to do. They already showed us.
I didn't see that. But then it's like, I've never seen him, like, when he travels to a different time, change his clothes depending on the time that he's in. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he's in the 60s, so he's wearing a 60s looking outfit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Like, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
He's changed, but it's never a permanent change of clothes, because the Doctor's quote unquote uniform is like a big thing. It's something that they do with the actor when he takes on the role of the Doctor.
Right, and it's
like
become a big thing in the fandom. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell by someone's just wearing a suit. It looks like they're just wearing a suit, but you can tell by what they're wearing which Doctor they are when they're walking around.
Because everyone had, like, Tennant had the Chuck Taylors, right? Tennant had the Chucks. Yeah. Christopher Eccleston had the duster with the black shirt, right? Matt Smith with the bow tie and the
bow tie and the fez.
Paisley. Yeah, the fez. Yeah, and he had the paisley colored suit jacket. Fezzes are cool. Yeah, and Jodie Whittaker was doing the thing with the suspenders. Tom Baker famously with the scarf.
Yep.
Peter Davison had celery on his jacket for reasons.
Decorative vegetable. Yeah.
Decorative
Very
vegetable.
hard to pull off.
I'm excited. I have not looked for it, and I wasn't like, when there's a chick Doctor, I'm out. I watched 2 episodes, and I'm like, I was playing with my phone more than paying attention to the show, so I knew it wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah, and it was the writing though. It was
writing wasn't good. Mm-hmm. The Doctor has to be handled the right way, otherwise it just doesn't work.
But here's the problem: if the rating's really good, and a bunch of fans now come back to the show, are they going to make me even more arguments? It's like, oh, see, people just don't want a woman as the Doctor.
No, I mean, like,
No.
unfortunately, Jodie Whittaker was part of a bad
Yeah.
creative era, much kind of like Colin Baker, right? Colin Baker, his doctor was a dick, and nobody liked him, and it was the writing. They wrote him to be a complete and total asshole.
Yep.
So he goes down as the second at this point most hated doctor.
Well, no, still the most hated because everybody felt these days with the internet, everybody knew that Jodie Whittaker
was screwed.
Was really good, so they felt sorry for her.
That's true. That's true. Whereas Colin Baker was a dick. His doctor was a complete, and not like a likable dick, like Peter Capaldi's doctor is a likable dickhead, right?
Yeah.
William Hartnell, you're like crusty old grandpa, but you still love him even though he's kind of a dick. Colin Baker, just a dick.
Yeah. All right. I do like that they went younger with him again. Well, I mean, Jodie Whittaker isn't old either, but like
she's like 35, 40, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all good. Capaldi was
That's
older.
also-
I like they went older with Capaldi.
But that's the reason why I thought they were going that route when Capaldi came in. I'm like, oh, he's older. Okay, I see what they're doing here, but no, they changed.
I think that's the story they were telling was he was getting. I didn't get to the end, but I think they were telling the story of him running out of lives and running out of regenerations.
Like that first season is definitely what it felt like. Like he was getting to the end of it,
and he got a new lease. That was the end of the Capaldi run. He gets a new
Right.
lease on lives, as it were, because you can't end the series. I'm sure when they came up with that 13 lives, it was like we'll never get here.
Yeah.
I mean, they stopped after 7 forever.
Yeah.
And the idea that the person who came up with the idea of having the main character regenerate so they could continue the series, like one of the greatest ideas of all time of like all of writing. Like that's, I mean, the Doctor Who can go on forever now.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
As well it should.
I'm sorry. I just got a message from our good friend Tim Jones.
We're on the show. We're not live. How does this happen?
No, I got a personal message from him, and he's like, I'll be at a comic book show on Sunday, but it's over at 5, so I'm hoping I'll be home in time to watch you guys live.
What a surprise he's gonna have!
Surprise, surprise, Tim.
Errors have been made.
Errors have been made. Things have been bought. All right. And then our final bit of news. Spider-Man fans can now finally celebrate because you can find all of your favorite Spider-Man movies now, as of this recording, on Disney+.
Is that accurate? Did they put Amazing... Because I know in the advertising campaign, I noticed Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not included in it. Is that one available on Disney? I also didn't notice Far From Home or Home, the middle one, Homeward Bound. What the heck's the second Spider-Man movie called? Tom Holland. It was Homecoming.
Far From
Far
Home.
From Home,
That's
and then
Far
No
From
Way Home.
No Way Home. I always get those mixed up. So,
well, No Way Home might still be on like other services. Might be on contract.
That's what I'm not sure about Far From Home, and I'm not sure about Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You know what? I did not go on Disney Plus to verify, so
me neither.
And the Venom movies. It did say both the Venom movies. I thought.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what that means? We're eventually going to get Morbius on Disney Plus, and they're going to have to like that's a good thing.
Oh.
I mean, good. I'm glad Spidey's on the Disney Channel now. I can watch it.
Yes. You and your son can sit there on Sunday evening when you've got nothing to do this week and watch Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch that second Venom movie. I just can't bring myself to want to see it.
Now that's funny. I didn't see the first one, but I saw the second one.
That's funny.
But now I can watch. Now I'll watch the first one because I'll just put on Disney Plus. I don't know. I didn't think it was bad. It's not definitely not as bad as Morbius. Is it like a great? Is it a great?
As bad as Morbius.
Is it a great movie? No, but like they had to do Carnage, so
And they casted Carnage well.
Yeah.
No, if you're doing Venom, you gotta do Carnage. Like,
right?
You kind of have to at that point.
But you've still again done it all without Spider-Man.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that happened?
So, was actually my first date with Karen. Was on. We went and saw Venom.
Wow,
too.
and she stayed with you?
Yeah, wow. Shocked. And slightly appalled.
Torturing your date on the first day.
It's like hostile.
It's because I'm wonderful.
Then I went home and ripped out her toenails.
Oh my god!
That was from Hostel. That's why I said that.
No! No. I'm sorry, Karen. Don't watch this. All right.
Look away. Look away.
That is all the news that we have for this week, guys.
Kind of a slow week, and we didn't make it to the weekend.
No, exactly. Watch. Something big's going to happen tomorrow.
Probably, and we're going to look like chodes because we're not going to be able to cover it.
Chodes. All right. Well, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back with our main topic.
I heard you were back. I'm going to Mandalore.
May the Force be with you!
You ready for an adventure? A Mandalorian has to know their way around. That way, you'll never be lost.
The Mandalorian, Season 3, March 1st, only on Disney+.
So,
do we have a deal with Disney?
Yes.
Where we can advertise their stuff? Sweet.
Well, also, we're going to be talking about the season finale of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't think they mind like anybody advertising their stuff.
No, I know.
So
fair use.
So I can kind of say we were right. I don't remember who said this last week. But The Mandalorian was Grogu all along. I kind of got that feeling.
I don't know. He's a Mandalorian. I don't know if he's the Mandalorian, but one could make that argument.
Yeah.
The Mandalorians were the friends we made along the way. The true Sorry. Did this feel? Oh, by the way, what an awesome show! But there were no like crazy big reveals. It was just a nice end of the season. Like we were like, oh, what is? Sometimes we work our. I thought this like. Sometimes we just work ourselves into like,
I'm gonna say
things that aren't there.
I'm gonna say it was good, but nothing beats that final episode. The final
come on,
sequence
Luke Skywalker,
of season 1. Yeah, nothing will ever beat that.
2.
Was it season 2?
Season 2 was the Luke Skywalker. Season 1 ended with Moff Gideon and the Darksaber.
Yep,
that's right. I'm so confused because there was 2.5 in the middle there with the
Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett, yes.
So did this feel like the end to you guys? Because that fight with Moff Gideon and bringing kind of fully redeeming Bo-Katan, like it really felt like this chapter was done.
Well, because the next chapter is the movie. It starts with the movie. Then
yeah, so really, it felt like the end.
I felt like what they did is they put a cap on it, where they can easily pull those two characters back out anytime they want and use them, and they could even do a whole another season, but they don't have to. Like they can kind of say like, nope, this is it. This was their journey. Now he has a little ranch on what's the name of the planet?
It's an Italian name.
Italian name.
It is. It's like, shoot, I forget the name of the damn.
Well, they got
Navarro. It's a Mexican name. Navarro, yeah.
They got a little. That's it, Navarro. They got a little ranch on Navarro, and he can chill out with his kid and teach him the way. Teach
him the way. I got a little emotional when he officially adopts, baby Grogu, and now
I like Din Grogu, which I'm
Grogu.
also confused on. So Din is his surname, like Chinese people who have their surname is before their
why not
their first name, but it's Bo is not Bo-Katan's surname.
They're also of a different sect.
Different cultures have different,
and they're very clearly different cultures of Mandalorians. As they beat you over the head with that this season.
Yes.
I think, which is good, by the way. It was great to see. That was actually a good thing. So I think we all have to acknowledge that Dave Filoni saved the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Okay. This goes
Add your
back to
dissenting opinion.
this goes back to something I mentioned at the beginning of this. All right. So kind of a segue, but related.
Go for it.
The last year at work, I have had to do the job of like 4 people because I work in a group that services a lot of other groups. I've only had one other person working with me who knows what they're doing, one offshore guy, and they've starved us of resources. I have 9 years of backlog of stuff that I'm supposed to do, and I'm overworked, and I feel like I get demotivated a lot, and that means my work suffers. And so you look back at this season of The Mandalorian, and it goes all over the place. It's not up to the normal standard we've been expecting from the writers. And it feels like, like there are certain things that most writers would have done, like that one episode that was just like literally just 2 separate episodes. They could have interleaved the scenes from each one of those stories and made it not hit you as hard as, oh, we're going to take a side trip over to Coruscant for 40 minutes now. Like there's there's a lot of things about this ending that are like, well, why did he have to adopt him? Because he was already in training for being a Mandalorian. Everybody already treated him like he was Din Djarin's ward. Like,
because it's official, right? And especially in there's one thing we've learned about the character of Din Djarin is he's very much the believer in the way, right? Like he's very set in the culture of his people, the culture of Mandalore, and this is what you officially do to be accepted into the culture. Like he isn't just having a kid with him. Like he's really legally. That's like saying, well, you got this kid that you hang out with. Why would you want to officially adopt him? Like I think if my wife was in this room right now, she'd slap you being an adopted kid. Like that's a very big thing when your adoptive dad becomes your official dad. That's a thing. That's a moment. So I really, like I said, my wife being adopted is a very big part of my wife's life. And I thought it was cool because of that, because step parents are often painted as, wicked or evil or misunderstood. Very rarely are they painted as, the saviors of lost kids.
No, I'm very familiar with that. That kind of thing. So
that's the thing. I think that's why this worked really well for me. Like I think that was good. And again, I agree with you. The 3rd episode does T-bone this season a little bit, but there's always 1 or 2 episodes per season that do that. And this is just the way it is. And let's look at where we were 5 years ago with The Rise of Skywalker. Like interest in we had 3 movies in a row that completely divided the fan base, right? And we had Solo that did not get people's attention. Like Star Wars was like the fandom was not in a good place. And I think that by leaning into the contributions Filoni made toward the series prior, going into Clone Wars and Rebels, there's more goodwill towards Star Wars than there has been since the Disney purchase. Maybe since The Empire Strikes Back, quite frankly.
I agree. It just kind of feels like, there were a lot of issues with this season that could have been fixed with a little bit of rewriting, and I think it's because Filoni has so much more on his plate.
So
that your work suffers if you're doing too much, right?
But he's not the only writer of the show.
I know, but it just seems like they're like.
It's also a case of you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. It means it didn't speak to you.
Oh no, it's bad for this is like top notch for everything.
But that's what I'm saying. It's before he really took the reins of this property, we were not in as good a place. We were not in as focused a place. True. Like look where we were at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So online, I think the two of the biggest complaints that I keep seeing over and over again about this season is that episode on Coruscant.
It's
which feels like it was put in there to set up something bigger that doesn't really feel like it pays off. Like,
disagree. I disagree. It sets up the spy network that's on Coruscant and trying to revive the rebellion or trying to revive the Empire.
right, but it's something that's going to pay off in another
Later.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to pay off in this show.
But
So
it also sets up what Moff Gideon was doing, right? Establishing his own clone army. That's why
True.
they had the guy. The guy was cloning. They literally kidnapped a cloner.
Right. Well, the other idea is that the reason why Grogu was almost immediately reunited with Din Djarin, and it was done in the Book of Boba Fett, was because of studio interference, because they were making too much money off of Grogu, Baby Yoda, like because doesn't it seem like this season could have been like half of it could have been interleave stories of him and Grogu going through their journeys and then finally reuniting at some point near the end? I mean, like that would have made a much better story than
it's one
than
story.
people
It's
coming
so-
back to the Mandalorian after having skipped
Yeah,
Boba
but-
Fett and going,
but
"We're
the whole
back
point-
together," and what happened?
The whole point of this is to watch the whole thing, though. And again, thank God they did that in the Book of Boba Fett, because the Book of Boba Fett hit a gigantic roadblock. Like that show was far more all over the place. than
and
this
also
was.
the point of Grogu is that he makes the character of Din Djarin softer. Like, gives him his heart.
Yes.
Like he doesn't have a heart until Grogu comes
Right,
along.
but they could have explored that particular problem with
They did.
with Grogu not being there for a while.
And I disagree with that completely, because like you do lone wolf and cub without the cub. Like that is not the essence of the show. Like the essence of the show, we thought perhaps that's the show we thought we were going to get when they pitched us The Mandalorian initially, right? A lot of people thought we were going to get the man with no name in space. What we got was lone wolf and cub. But now after establishing that for 2.5 seasons, I don't want to go back to that. Like, I think the dynamic of the father-son dynamic is what makes this show, this particular entry into the Star Wars universe, which is a universe based, which the big through line through the 3 trilogies is broken families, right? It's parents and kids that that have conflict. This is the story of a father and a son and their love, right? This is a love story between a father and his kids. Maybe that's why I get so like into this and defensive of it, is because that's something that's, speaks to me greatly. And I think that's what makes this thing work, is I think the Din Djarin character doesn't work as well without Grogu at this point, because he's a more complete character, especially at that season 2 finale when he takes off the helmet, right? Yeah. Like there's no going back on a character at this point.
Yeah.
And it turned out the Book of Boba Fett was kind of weak. We kind of needed the Mandalorian to beef up.
The other complaint that I kept seeing is in the 7th episode, the wonky logic of getting the Darksaber back to Bo-Katan.
Yeah. See, again, like that could have been handled much better instead of having to, at the end we've got a loophole.
Given how the show ended, I think it was perfect now, because the whole point was to show because you also remember, like, this is a show that's not necessarily being watched by people who watched Rebels and saw the history of the Darksaber. Like, they don't know anything about it. So they were showing how wonky their society was, where they're basing, like, you're a leader because a woman in a watery tart threw a sword at you.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that before. I said that was a problem with their whole society. They were.
But it's an intentional problem. It's an intentional problem.
So the best thing they could do to unite everyone at the end was destroy
the Darksaber.
Darksaber.
Like, I love it because, and that's what's cool about it, is because like and that's what I think makes this work. Because we had this wonky logic to get to it. There is wonky logic when it comes to religious artifacts. Like, watch an Indiana Jones movie. Talk about the Holy Grail, or like, the Ark of the Covenant. Like, that stuff is, if you're completely outside the Judeo-Christian world, you'd be like, this shit's weird, right? And then by destroying the Darksaber, by literally having your antagonist crush the thing, you're like, oh, it's all gone, but now you're free, right?
Yep.
That's a great plot. Well, that's a great plot device.
At least the other Mandalorians, not Din Djarin's sect, because they never really cared about it.
They never cared. He even says that, and he says it. I don't know what a Darksaber is, and they address it. So I mean, like, it's built into the story. Is you create these, because again, when you have like these splintering, like your Missouri Synod Lutherans versus your American House Lutherans, you get down to it and you're like, this is stupid. Like the stuff we're arguing about is stupid. And that's really what you get down to, is the two sects of the Mandalorians had to come together to defeat this insurgent empire that was basically ripping them to make this next step and give birth to a new empire. Like, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was again, that's what I thought thematically it worked, as they played on these things. You're like, well, that's just illogical. Well, religion is illogical. And then they showed it. Hey, religion is illogical. Something they tried to do in the sequel trilogy, but they never quite nailed. Right? They never quite nailed, like the whole thing with the Jedi text. Remember the whole thing with the Jedi texts getting lit on fire and Yoda's like laughing about it? That didn't work as well as Moff Gideon just breaking the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Right? This was so much more simple and effective, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, because I also feel like, in all honesty, and that's one of the biggest issues in my mind with The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, is that, like, and they use Luke to beat it over your head through the entire movie about the wonkiness of the Jedi religion, and then they beat you over the head with it over and over again, and then they burn it all at the end, and it was like ridiculous. Where this is just like, the sword's there, you can see it going on, but they don't beat you over the head, and then breaking at the end. It's like, yeah, that's it, it's over, like, it's done.
It's so much. This is what I'm talking about. Is Filoni and Jon Favreau, phenomenal filmmakers, we all know, they did a much better job. And again, they had more real estate to do it with, right? Because this was done over the course of 3.5 seasons, and they didn't try to jam pack it into a couple of movies with no focus, which I think is the biggest problem, as we've talked about in the show. The biggest problem with the sequel trilogy was that there was no one guiding the boat. You didn't have a George Lucas saying, okay, this is A, this is B, this is C. How are we going to get there? They were just like, it was like telephone. It was a game of telephone. You make a movie. We used to do this game in class. It's like you write a paragraph and then you turn it to the next guy and he has to write a paragraph, and you see what you get. But no one would think about doing that with $1 billion franchise, except Kathleen Kennedy.
Right. Yes.
She thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
No.
And not just have them each write a different thing, have them each try to retcon everything the last person did each time. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's mind-boggling in retrospect that, and this is why I said what I said about Dave Filoni kind of brought it back, because after Rise of Skywalker, remember we had the failure of Solo, and then Josh Trank's movie got killed, and Princess Leia became like that Mary Poppins in space, and I really wanted to like those movies, but after Rise of Skywalker, you couldn't sit back and go, this was one continuous story, the way you could say that about either the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. At least that was one story with a focus. You might not have liked the story, but it had a focus. This was just like Star Wars on Ritalin, man. It was weird. It's great.
Star Wars. It was Star Wars without Ritalin.
You're right. You're right.
With ADHD. Yeah.
Yes, you're correct. Like, I'm so much happier to be a Star Wars fan at this point, to the point where I'm going to watch Clone Wars. I'm going to go watch Rebels because I want to know more.
You should. They are awesome.
I should. I know. I've been saying this for years, and I thought about this last night after I finished watching Mando, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back. It's a lot of episodes. 133. That's so many shows. But I mean, I think that if I sit and watch it with Andy, we've watched a ton of Teen Titans Go. Maybe we can channel that into the Clone Wars.
Yep.
So I'm in. They got me. I'm excited. I'm more excited about Star Wars than I have been in a long time, and I'm happy about it.
I personally, I still think that it could have been, or the story this season could have been organized a bit better.
Could be. I mean,
some writing could have been, but it's still. I mean, I don't not like it. So
yeah, it's art. You could always, art is in the eye of the beholder. There's always things that are going to work better for A than they work for B, right? There's things that are going to appeal to people. Some people like, you and I have different ideas of what works. Like, I'm always about the emotion, right? What's all for me, it's always going to be about the character beats. It's always going to be about the character moments. I know you like the logic progression to make those things make sense. And, it's always
like
the artists. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the emotion too, though. Like, if it doesn't have emotion, I'm not going to like it.
For sure.
There's a reason why How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Tons
emotion.
Tons, absolute tons. Yeah. Like, sorry, Dave.
No. I was going to say, I had a question. Now that we've all watched the whole thing, and I don't think we really talked about the guest cameos that were in the show, especially the two big ones, Jack Black and Lizzo. Like,
Oh yeah.
did that what did you guys think of those? And did
Lizzo needs acting lessons.
I thought she was okay.
She was okay, but she wasn't like. But I mean, it was nice to see her, and Jack Black was Jack Black, and he's awesome.
So I'll be honest with you, like I don't listen to like that kind of music, so and I don't really follow it, so I didn't know that was Lizzo until I saw people complaining about it online, and I'm like, I thought she was fine. Like, I think people just don't like her, so they were like bashing.
No,
it.
there's a huge bunch of Chads that are like, I mean, they do. There's a bunch of people that don't like her for really stupid reasons. So, but she also has a huge following. She's an amazing artist. So,
Confession: I knew of Lizzo before this show. I had never heard a Lizzo song, and then I heard that one recently, that "To Be Loved" or something like that, and I'm like, oh, it sounds like it's from 1988. I like it. That's all. That was my experience with Lizzo. I know she plays a flute. That's all I had. So going into this, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. So for me, I was like, yeah, she was fine.
But we all, in contrast, know Jack Black.
Hard not to know Jack Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it I was afraid it was going to pull me out, but I think he's in it so little that it doesn't really affect you.
He wasn't being Jack Black. I think he was trying. I think he was very happy to be in Star Wars and was not scenery chewing as much as Jack Black normally does.
Yeah.
You clearly Jack Black, but he wasn't like.
He normally makes a meal of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's great, actually. Yeah, I did. I felt like he was. I feel like this is the most restrained Jack Black I've seen since the cable guy.
I also thought it was funny because the other thing I kept seeing online is, and of course the biggest star in your guest star in your show ends up to be the villain. Who didn't see that coming? And it's just like, I don't know. I didn't really see it coming, but it makes sense. Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. It's
Yeah.
Judge Doom, man. Of course he was the villain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that episode. Honestly, that episode was kind of weird, but I think they pulled it together in the end. Because oftentimes this show it's oftentimes the adventures of Din and Grogu, right? Where it does have a lot of times where they're just in an adventure of the week.
And I kind of feel like that's the whole thing, right? When you're going to do at least 8 episodes, and you're going to have to pad it a little bit, and that's what this was.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I think I kind of like that stuff because again, I think you get a lot of good character stuff between the two of them there, and I like seeing them in. I kind of enjoy seeing the two of them specifically intermingle with different people.
Yeah,
remember the Frog Lady episode a couple of seasons ago?
That was one of the best, though.
Yeah, but that was the same thing. That was kind of like it just kind of a T-boned the main arc of the story, but it was a good story, so it's okay. Yep. You know, I think this one reminded me of that one. Remember when people were freaking out about Grogu eating the frogs and eating the eggs?
Yeah.
People were losing it about that.
He's committing genocide.
That was a take on Twitter for a week. Was that Baby Grogu was committing genocide? And at that point, I was like, the plague. I almost said the pandemic has gotten to us all. We've all lost our grip.
And what's your point? I already told you I like Grogu. Just made me like him more. Anyway.
Oh. Ouch.
That's just fun. I can't wait for Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. Ahsoka's going to be I'm hoping that it's going to be way better than
we're going to get a.
This is because
we're going to get a live action Rebels reunion, I think, in this show.
Yeah, because we've already seen all the characters. With the exception of Ezra.
Right.
We've seen everybody else.
That's still alive.
Right, but the thing is, I mean that's going to pull from a lot of history. So, if you watch Rebels and you watch Clone Wars, you're going to, especially Rebels, you're going to get a real treat. This is going to be a huge 5-course meal. It's going to be awesome.
I am so curious how they're going to do it without. Are they going to assume people have seen at least Rebels, or are they going to be able to do it in a way where you have no idea who these characters are, but they're going to explain it enough so you understand?
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem with how they handled it with this season of Mandalorian, was all the history and stuff of the Mandalorians, the different sects, their relationship to each other, Bo-Katan, what she's done. It's the way they introduced her and the Mandalorians, it's what we keep coming back to: show, don't tell. But a lot of what we learned about the Mandalorians was just offhand comments because they didn't show us. They were telling us because they didn't take the time to fill us in naturally.
How do you do that? Though? How do you? I mean, I disagree with that. How do you? You can do that in a book, right? How do you do that in an
we were getting.
I think they
we
did
got
a
a lot
good
of dumps.
I agree.
We got a lot of dumps towards the end, especially Bo-Katan's history with the Mandalorians and what happened to her. All she did was explain it. The last episode, or what, 2 episodes? The last episode.
Sometimes that's okay. Like that's okay. Like you can have characters can monologue, characters can talk, characters can explain their past.
I know, but
I mean,
as long as it's, I mean, like that's such
what she explained though was how Moff Gideon got the dark saber, which was never shown in the TV shows. So
yeah,
it was so she was that was filling in a gap of like, well, how did he end up with it?
I know, but it was filled. It could have been something that was mentioned before, like when Din Djarin was talking to the what's her face, the woman in the forge. Damn it,
the armor.
Yeah, the armor. When he was talking to the armor, but there's another time when all we did was get a big dump of what. But that was on the. Was it the armor told Din Djarin about Bo-Katan, but that happened in the Book of Boba Fett. So, like, if you haven't watched that, you even missed that data dump.
It doesn't matter because they want that's we talked about with Marvel. That's the design. They don't want you to skip stuff. They want you. This is one book. This is a novel. They want you to read all the chapters of the novel. The novel is called Star Wars.
I know,
right? They want, and they don't want you to. They don't want you to imbibe it like this. They want you to be like Marvel, where again we're on Iron Man chapter 43 at this point.
It just felt like it was. It just didn't feel like it flowed. Like every time they needed to inform you of something about her past, they informed you in just exposition.
Would you have preferred a flashback?
Yeah,
I disagree. Yeah. I find flashbacks to be more. It done in movies and television. I find the flashback to be more of a T-bone to a story than just characters in conversation. Because I think that's a lot. I think that's a lost art in writing today, is having characters talk and express their emotions and talk about who they are and keep it interesting.
I was going to say the only way you can do that, in my opinion, and it does, but then people were going to say a T-bone this season, is you can't do a flashback here and a flashback there. Like you'd have to do a whole flashback episode to the Night of 1,000 Tears and show that all of that stuff. And then people would have been complaining, oh, well, that's so weird. It took me out of like.
Yeah, but they didn't even have to do that. They could literally have just like mentioned. I mean, they've got all these artifacts and all these MacGuffins, around with the Darksaber and everything. It's like people could have mentioned it before. I know you guys don't feel the same way. I just felt like the writing was much weaker this time around. I'm not saying it was bad. You should still go see it, and then you should watch Clone Wars and Rebels for the upcoming Ahsoka, because it's just totally worth it.
I will say this. I think the one thing it suffered from is one of the things that some Marvel directors have complained about. I feel like they were forced to put a couple things in to set up upcoming projects. And like,
what about, again, is that force? Force is when Kevin Feige did it in Avengers, the Ultron one, where you're T-boning the story.
Yeah.
I think if you're laying out breadcrumbs to continue a moving story, you're just continuing to move the story, and you're like giving hints of what's coming next. Like,
all right,
that's to be expected at these things at this point.
Okay, I won't disagree. I mean, I will, but I won't say it out loud. All right. I mean, I don't know what else we can say. I think we're both. I think all three of us are excited for.
Wow! Already shutting me, huh?
Oh no! No, I know you're excited for Ahsoka, and I know you're going to.
Oh hell yeah! That's going to be awesome.
You'll be first in line to see the movies. So.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's a no-brainer. So I'm glad that JD's excited about Star Wars again.
Yeah, I'm excited to be excited about Star Wars.
Now we need to find something to get him excited about Marvel again.
Put out something good, and I'm on board.
All right.
We'll see the upcoming stuff.
You know what broke me? Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night was when I was finally like, you know what? I think I've had it.
That still blows my mind. I thought that would be the one that would get you back. I thought
Me
that
too.
one would. I wanted to talk to you about that because I thought that was just your wheelhouse. I thought that was like
it
everything
was.
you've been looking for.
It was everything I was looking for, and they didn't deliver. And that's what really got
And
me.
I think they did. It just
I
feels
know.
so weird
I
that,
know.
that we both feel, like I think our roles are reversed.
Oh,
I know. Just didn't do it for me.
Final Star Wars thing.
Oh, what else we got?
I've been thinking about this. I feel the sequel trilogy was a reflection of the original trilogy.
Well, yeah.
Like
yeah.
each like I didn't.
100%.
No,
Another
like, I
Death
didn't
Star,
think
I
about
mean-
it. I didn't think about it until the other day because I mean I said it about Last Jedi and Empire Strikes Back are basically the same movie in a lot of ways. Obviously, New Hope and Force Awakens, a Death Star ragtag team, but like even the Rise of Skywalker and Return of the Jedi, it's like a lot of the same beats. I'm like, really?
Oh yeah. The more you think about, the more time you spend thinking about the sequel trilogy, the more it falls apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I was a defender when those movies came out, but when you view them together, they really fall apart. And again, I think having these last couple projects be successful has just shined a bigger light on it.
And it
When you
only
have-
takes about 5 minutes for it to fall apart. Really.
It does.
When you,
It's
have,
true.
when you have Palpatine come back in the scroll.
Man, that bothered me so much. That bothered me so much. Talk about a lack of effort. Talk about a lack of effort. The fact that nobody said, really, we're going to bring him back in the crawl. We're not even going to explain this. That is an info. That is half-assed.
They actually brought him back in Fortnite.
What?
That's in Fortnite. They had a new season of Fortnite, and if I remember correctly, it was there was mention of him in Fortnite because they'll do cross promotion in Fortnite during the seasons, and he was mentioned in Fortnite. Just look up
I'll take your word for it.
Star Wars in Fortnite, and it was just. Yeah, so
He
that
was
was the
back.
first time we heard that he was back. So
I do think I'll have a rant video coming out about that shortly. And you know what? I
What?
think if you're watching this right now, if you want to make sure you see that, hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications, and you will not miss a moment of our stuff over on YouTube.
Speaking of Star Wars and Marvel stuff, did you guys hear about Adam Driver?
Yeah, he's in talks. That's rumors, though. He's in talks to
rumor.
be in the Fantastic Four movie.
I had a debate on some of my fight game buddies. They're all like, "Oh, he's going to be up for Reed." I said I think he would be
Dr.
better.
Doom.
Doom, yeah, thank you. And people are like, "Oh, you're just saying that because he played Kylo Ren." I said, "No, I'm saying it because he has this weird voice that would be awesome for Dr. Doom, and he plays detached and arrogant remarkably well."
Yeah. If you've seen any other movies with him in it, yeah, he
Correct.
plays detached and arrogant very well, and that'd be perfect for Doom.
It would also be good
because
for
I've heard that
Reed.
he's nice. So
Well, he's just good. I mean, he's an actor. He's good at
Yeah,
it.
it would be good for
he's
Reed
really
too,
good.
but
He's Oscar, right?
Yeah,
I
he'd
mean,
be good for
I think
Reed. But I
you know
think
what
he's-
everyone wants.
Everyone wants the other thing. I think
Yeah.
he'd be I just the idea of him as Doom is
Krasinski,
too
right?
because everyone wants Krasinski.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know why they teased us with it, and it's so weird. But I think that Driver as Doom is too intriguing to just let go of.
Yeah, I agree. So too
What do
bad
you think?
Ray's not here. Can't speak it into existence.
Oh, it's true. Ray, if you're listening, just send me a tweet so we could get me on your show or something. We need to make this happen. We have
Yeah,
magic
no, I
powers.
definitely agree. Doom.
He would be great
that's
as
my
Doom.
vote. Yeah.
He would be a great Doom.
He'd work.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, let's see. You got any? Let's wrap this thing up. You got any recommendations, or did you learn anything on the podcast this week? John, you can go first.
All right. New season of anime is up, so I'm going to make 2 recommendations. One is Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, which is
That's a cool title.
Yeah, Gundam is like a whole franchise. That's
Oh, I
been around
know.
for like
I've tried.
decades.
I've talked about trying to get into Gundam and being like super lost.
I don't know. This would be a good
Oh,
introduction.
I'm done. I'm
to
not
it.
even going to try.
Okay.
I've waved the flag on Gundam.
Well, no, this would be this is like they played this like it's almost a good introduction to it. Like new people walking in, this would be a good place to say, "Oh, that's Gundam."
Right.
And
How do I
it
watch
does Crunchyroll. You go to Crunchyroll, and the other thing is, was it Stone? Oh God, damn it! People are yelling at me from Dr. Stone.
Oh yeah, you talked about that one.
Yeah, Dr. Stone season 2 is up. So, and I've seen breakdowns from scientists on YouTube going over the science of Dr. Stone, and they're all like, "This is pretty damn accurate, right?" Like, it's going to get to the point where we're going to have the same kind of situation we had 30 years ago with MacGyver, right? Where they had to tell the people writing MacGyver to stop telling kids exactly what chemicals to put together to make a bomb. So because everything they show on that is real. So it's it's perfect. It teaches kids science, and it's a really interesting storyline. So
yeah,
there you go.
all I know is my son loves the show too. So yeah,
it is really good.
Cool. How about you, JD?
I learned that if Don, our buddy Don, was adopted by the Mandalorian, he would be Din Don Daniels.
Very interesting.
All righty.
And I'm going to recommend The Mandalorian. I think it's absolutely excellent. And I'm going to read some comics tonight. I'm excited. Way behind on that.
Cool.
Hopefully I can recommend them. We'll see.
Cool. I learned that if John doesn't really have something to complain about, he'll just find anything to rip a show apart. I also learned that if ChatGPT can stroke JD's ego, he wants
Scary.
He wants it to rule the universe.
It's scary. You know, it's scary how much it just completely stroked my ego like that. Like I got feeling really good. I'm like, ooh, that's how they get you. It makes you feel good. And then they conquer everybody and you feel great about it. And then you look around and your cats have probes coming out of their heads because the AI have taken over. And then you're done.
I'm going to make a recommendation that I haven't read yet. I'm going to recommend you run out and check out Destiny New York before it comes to the small screen near you, because I'm going to go check it out. And we're going to have Pat on the show to talk about it. So.
Oh, last week of the Wolfstone Saga sale is going on this weekend. So 99 cents per book. Pick that up.
Cool.
There you go. Help out a friend.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Teachers don't make a lot of money, so.
Not a lot.
We don't pay
We're
them
okay.
enough.
We don't pay them enough. But if you've been around for a long time, you can do all right. But you got to stick around. And let me tell you something. It's hard. Between the kids and the kids aren't the hard part sometimes. Sometimes it's colleagues that make you want to go crazy.
Or the parents.
Oh, mostly the parents. Mostly the parents.
I will also recommend that you hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications. Head on over to superheroespeak.com where you can find this podcast every week. Comic book reviews by our good friend Christian. Links to all our social media at the top of the page and so much more. So, yeah. And on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for watching or listening. And don't let your cape go out the door. Have a good week.